Hey, this is Professor Homa. Here I am in Microsoft Word. Wait a minute. This isn't Microsoft Word. What is this? This is Google Docs. How did I get in Google Docs? I don't know. Well, let me show you around Google Docs a little bit.
Hey, this is Professor Homa, and I had an inquiry about using Google Docs for our Word assignments. And again, I'll start off by saying it's not a replacement for Word. There's things that Word can do that Google Docs cannot do. But what I wanted to do is just go through Google Docs and also try and do one of our Word assignments and just see how it matches up. So what I'm going to do is open up my Google Drive, and that's what I have right now. So I have my Drive open because everything in Google Docs basically works off the cloud. You're working off the web, so your files are going to be stored up there. So we can't just go File Open and open something off your hard drive. So I created a folder here for CSC102-W1, and I also made a Word file inside of it, just like you would have on your hard drive. And then I'm going to go on my Finder. I'm working on a Mac, and I'm going to drag our work file, the one that says Formatting Review, and I'm going to drag it over here to upload it, and I'll put it right in that Word folder. You can see it has a little W icon there indicating it's from Word. And I'm going to open that up, and when I go to open it, it's going to say Open with Google Docs, because you could just view it, but I'm going to open with Google Docs. So that'll launch my Google Docs app, which is kind of sort of like Word, except not as powerful. And this is the way it looks when it opens up in Word. So things are a little different here. I do have a ruler up here, but what I'm going to want to do is follow my instructions. So I actually have my instructions here in a PDF format, so I can upload a PDF format if you need. That way it's a little easier to read, and I'll go down the instructions here. So I'm going to go back to here, and one thing I'll kind of let you know is they have these add-ons. So if there's anything that you can't do, you could look and see if there's an add-on. It doesn't have add-ons for everything, but I'm going to go get an add-on, and you can get them for envelopes. So if you did the business letter and you can't make an envelope, they do have an add-on for an envelope. But I'm going to add an add-on for show. I'll just put in show. And this is the only one they have, so I'm just going to add it, and I'll just hit the little plus sign here. Accept everything and allow everything as usual with Google. You don't really have a choice. So now I have an add-on, and what that should do in this add-on here, it should show all of my returns and spaces and tabs and things like that. I want to have that just like I do in Word. So I want to see where there's a paragraph so that I can see that these are 4 paragraphs down there. It's very important that we know what are paragraphs and what aren't. So I put that add-on in there. So I'm going to start with that, and I'm going to go down my steps here. So I'm going to start with the Show Hide button, and I just added an add-on to be able to do that. So I'm seeing my returns. I'm going to highlight all the copy and make it 12 point Times New Roman, and I'm also going to change my page margins to 1 inch. So I'll go back to Google Docs, and to change my page margins, I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go to Page Setup. And there we have margins, and I'm just going to put it to 1 all around. I can just hit the Tab key, and I'll hit OK. And now we have 1 inch margins. You can see they came into 1 inch. And then I'm also going to do a Command A. On Windows, you do Control A, and that's a Select All, and we're going to make it Times New Roman, and I'm going to make it 12 point. So that's what we want to do first, and then we're going to kind of go through this one paragraph at a time. So the first paragraph that we work on here, it says, highlight the first paragraph. It's a 1/2 inch first-line indent and a 12 point space after. So I'm going to do 2 of those things. And this is a little different than in Word. So I'm going to highlight. I don't even have to highlight the paragraph. I could just be in it. That's all I need to do. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to add a first-line indent. Now, they don't have a place to go format indents like in Word. You actually have to use these little things up here. So I'm going to bring over, and you got to grab the top one, and move that over to 0.5. That's the first line indent, that little thing there. And I'll just make sure it's on 1/2 inch, and it's at 0.50, so that's all I have to do there. And then while I'm in this paragraph, I also want to add some space after of 12 point. Now if you go here under Format, you can see they have line spacing, and they have add space after, but it just adds space after. It doesn't tell you how much. So what I recommend is actually you could do custom spacing, or I think what I recommend also would be this little thing for line spacing. If you go on that little drop down for line spacing and then go to custom, then you could put space after, and it's reading it in points. So if you just put 12, you're good. And that's all you want for the first paragraph. So we were able to do that. Okay, we didn't have a problem doing that. So that's number 3. I'm going to move to 4. It says highlight the second paragraph and apply left and right indent of 0.75 line spacing of 1.5 lines and 12-point space after. Well, we know how to do the space after already, so we'll try to do those a couple things at a time. So I'll go back to my document, and I'm going to just go in this paragraph, and to bring in my left and right indent, I'm going to go on the bottom here and move that over to 0.75. Now over here, it doesn't go over, you can't put a number in, but I'm just going to measure over 0.75. So if it's at 6.5, it's going to go right about to there to 5.75. So that'll be, 3/4 inch this way, 0.75, and 0.75 this way. And then while I'm in that paragraph, I also want to adjust the line spacing. So that I could do over here. And they have 1.5 right there. So I could just choose that. If I wanted to do custom, I could do 1.6 if I wanted to, but I'll choose 1.5. And that's all I need to do there. And I still need to do the space after. And I'll do that also from line spacing, from this icon here. And I'll go to custom spacing, and I'll put 12 after. And I'll hit apply. So that's the second paragraph. So we were able to do that okay with Google Docs. And these are, basic formatting operations that we're doing. And now for number 5, we're going to do the 3 paragraphs, the bullet lists. So what we're going to have to do here, and some of this is going to be different. We won't be able to do the outdent, or at least it won't have the effect that Word does. We're going to apply a bullet list setting, and then we're going to do all paragraphs will have a 12-point space after setting. And some of this stuff in Word you will kind of ignore. So let's see how that works. So we're going to go back, and we're going to highlight. There's 3 paragraphs here, and you don't even have to be through all of them. You just have to kind of make sure you have 3 kind of selected there, so you don't even have to have all the characters. And what I'm going to do is make it a bullet list. And you should have options for list. You could go here to format, and you could have lists there, and they have bullet list. And you have to choose one, so choose the first one that has a bullet. Or you could go over here. I think they have a bullet list over here too. So I'm just going to use that one. And Word does this too. It indents it about 1/4 inch. And I don't want it indented 1/4 inch, and there's no way to outdent to go back. They actually, and it's not really outdent, it's called decrease list level or decrease indent, and it won't do anything here. So in order to move this back, we'd actually have to move this one back to 0 and move this one back. The little bottom one here, it's hard to grab. I'll move that back to 0.25, and then I got to grab this one and make sure this one's at 0. Now they're moving all around. So grab that little thing, bring it back to 0. So you just want that 1/4 inch kind of hanging indent. That's called a hanging indent. When the first line indent is behind the left indent, it creates a hanging indent, so they actually kind of line up there. And I also want the space after each paragraph, so I know how to do that. I'll go back to my line spacing here, and I'll put in 12. And that's all I need to do for my bullet list. So that part's done. And the last part to do here, we'll see how this works, is now it says highlight the next paragraph or line. Now this is just the first line that says sub, small, and large. It's in green. And so we're just going to do that line. We're going to make it 14-point bold italic, 18-point space before, 6-point space after, and we're going to set 2 tabs. So I just want to try and memorize what I'm doing here so I don't have to keep going back and forth. So 18 space above, 6-point after, 14 bold italic. So let me go in here and do that. And that's just for this. That's just this line here. So I'll highlight just this line here. And I'll make it 14, and I'll make it bold italic, and then I could set my tabs, I could do my spacing. Maybe I'll do my spacing. I'll go in here to custom spacing, and I'll do it 18 before, and I believe it was 6 after, and I'll hit apply, and that's the way that should be set up. Now for setting the tabs, we don't have a place to go format tabs. We have to do it right on the ruler. So the tabs were set up for, I think it said there's a right align tab at 6 inches and a right align tab at 5 1/4, 5.25. So I'll do that, and you can click right on the ruler here. I'll click here, and it says add right tab stop, and that's what I want. That's a right align tab, and I'll move that over to 6, and then I'll also click here somewhere around 5 1/4 and do another right tab stop, and then drag it. See if I could drag it. Make sure that's at 5 1/4. And that's where my tabs will be. So now I have them set up. So I have my 2 tabs, and there's already tab characters in there. So there's already a tab character that's tabbing over to there and then over to the next one. So that one's done. So now we just have this last part here, and it's going to be the last 3 paragraphs, and we're going to set the same tabs. It says with a dot leader, and I'll let you right know we can't do that with Google Docs, believe it or not, which is pretty sad that we can't put a dot leader on a tab. So that's that's not a good thing that we can't do that. So, just kind of proves why you can't really get away from using Word. But we're going to set the same tabs. We're going to put a space after of 6 point, and then we're going to change the text color. So I'm going to go back here, and I'll highlight these 3 paragraphs, and I'll give the space after, whatever you do first, it doesn't matter. I'll do the custom spacing, and I'll put 6 for the space after. And then I'll set my tabs. Now, I could have set all the tabs all at once, but I'll go back and I'll set my right tab stop and make sure it's at 6. And then I'll set my 5 1/4 one, make sure that's a right tab stop, and make sure that's at 5 1/4. Now, to do a leader, there's no way to do a leader. So the only thing you could really do, and this really isn't a good option, but the only option you have here is basically putting your cursor right there and hitting the period a bunch of times. That's really an inefficient way of working, and it could really throw off your spacing. But that's really the only option you have with Google Docs, which is, like I said, not very professional to be able to have to do that, because that's a pretty common feature in a word processing program. But anyway, just for now, just to get through this, we'll throw those in. And don't ever do this in Word. Please don't ever do that. And then I'm going to highlight these, and you can make a custom color. You can go in here. This is the text color, so I'll make a custom color. You can go to custom, and I'll lighten this up, and I'll choose like a green and make like a dark green, and then I'll just hit OK. And that kind of makes a custom color. That way you could make this one the same custom color. So I'll highlight this, and then if I go down here, this is the custom color I just made, the second one. And I'll choose that, so that way they're kind of consistent. So they both have a custom color green, and whenever you make a custom color, they show up. The other one happened to be there because that came in with the document, because that was a custom green that came in with the document. But that's everything on this formatting review. This is everything. So we're able to do it all in Google Docs, with the exception of doing these leaders here, because we don't really want to do it like that. But we were able to do that with Google Docs. And what you want to do is you want to change the name of this. And I'll just highlight this and put my last name on here. And I'll just hit return. So that should save it as a Google Docs or Word document. So this file you could either share with somebody, or you could download. What you would have to do if you're doing this for your assignment for this class. I guess I could get out of here now. I don't need this anymore. What you could do with this file is then you can download this and then upload that to My Warren. You could try to send a link to it or something, or share it, but you're better off just uploading it, because that's what you're supposed to do for that. So this would be the finished file that you'd be sending. So that's pretty much it. That's a little view of Google Docs. I'll try to do another one with styles with Google Docs. You can do styles. It's a little limited as well. So we do have limitations in here, but there are some things that you can do, but you won't be able to do everything with Google Docs. So I just wanted to show that out for anybody who's working with Google Docs. You might have a Chromebook or something like that, or maybe you just have never used Google Docs and you wanted to try it out. So that's Google Docs.